All right, Pete students, thank you guys signing up for our second career speaker. I appreciate you guys being here. So we have our own school resource officer, Mike Leary, here to talk to you guys today about his job in law enforcement and kind of what it took to get him to this place. It's an amazing PowerPoint, okay? So he is going to talk to you guys today, but he does want lots of questions. So,
Question.
yeah.
Would you rather be maced or tased?
Ooh.
That's a good question. It's hard to say.
Because my neighbor didn't know that this little thing on his keychain was pepper spray, so he started spraying it, and it like made my eyes all red. And
Ours is a little more stronger than theirs. The thing about tasing is it lasts 5 seconds, okay? Doesn't seem like that big a deal, right? But there's 50,000 volts of electricity in a taser. Normal outlet, 110. Okay? So you do the math, you're the good students on that. But how many times is that? 5 seconds, okay? Doesn't seem like that big of a deal. Pepper spray will last 45 minutes to an hour. Very excruciating. So, but the pain from a taser is so much worse. I don't know what I'd tell you.
does it actually make you pee?
No. No, that's a good question because there is that rumor out there that happens. So, those of you that don't know me, a little bit about me. This is my 16th year being a cop, and you can say being a cop. Okay, sometimes people are like, I don't know if I should say cop or police officer, peace officer, pig. No, hobo. For me, you can say that to me. It sounds something like that. 3 daughters, 7, 5, and 1. I guess that's all you need to know about me. I'll get more into it. Slide, please.
Okay.
Some of this you already got told. I grew up in Waverly. That was my first cop job. Worked there 6 years, and this is my 10th at Cedar Falls. Anybody know who the old chief was? Who's our current chief? Come on, I forgot.
I knew it.
Jeff Wilson.
Huh?
That's our current one. No. Okay. About the former.
You?
No. No. One of your Pete staff's.
Oh, I
Yeah.
know. I know who you're talking
Do you know who that is?
about. Is it Greta's dad?
Greta's dad? No, that's my captain. But close. Our former chief is, can I say?
Yeah.
None other than Miss Lindsay's dad. So,
Yes.
Rick Alstrom.
Ah,
is
shit,
his
in
name.
there.
Rick Holmstrom. You guys can ask me questions anytime about that.
So,
Cop kid.
anyway, I've been on all shifts. Most of my years have been on night shift. About 10 years on night shift. So, totally different atmosphere. Being in the schools, that's my assignment all day now is come to the schools, do whatever. Hang out, take calls, some counseling stuff, not like school counselor, but just kind of, hey, things aren't going so good right now, and try to see if from my point of view, I can work through some different stuff. I'm a training officer for new officers, pepper spray instructor. I have to get sprayed to become an instructor. So one more time even makes it worse.
Where do you have to get sprayed at?
Where, like on me?
Do you have to get it in your face?
Oh yeah. Yeah. You have to fight with somebody, get sprayed, then go down and shoot, come back, calling on a radio, and then they hold you from the water for a while. Then eventually you can rinse that off, but it takes a while. After high school, went to Hawkeye for a 2-year police science degree. About 4 or 5 years into the job, I stepped in a hole in a foot pursuit and messed up my foot pretty bad, so I was in a cast for about 4 months. And then went back to school, went to UNI, got a 4-year degree in criminology. And then here just 2 years ago, went back to St. Ambrose and got a master's in criminal justice. So, a little about me. Any more that I didn't answer? Okay. Yeah.
Have you ever been shot at or shot?
I've not been shot. If I've been shot at, I don't know it. So I hope I haven't been. If I did, I'm glad they missed. I have no desire to be shot. I have not shot anyone, nor do I want to be in that situation. As you can imagine, that would be very tragic and very stress and time consuming.
Have you tased anyone?
Yep, quite a few people. Is there any question? You had your hand kind of peeking up here a second ago. Okay, if you want to say it, you can.
I've heard rumors that if you want to be a police officer, you have to get tased.
Tased and pepper spray. If you're going to carry those items. Now, it's our department policy that you have to at least carry a taser. So, if you aren't going to abide by that policy, then
When you get tased,
Bye-bye.
what do they like hit you at?
we have, so in these tasers, there's two sharp prongs that come out like big fish hooks. What you have for training when people get certified in them is they're like alligator clips. You know what those are? Little clamps. They can put on your clothing or pinch a little bit of your skin and then turn that on.
And we'll just do the same
So
thing.
then they don't stick those fish hooks into you. So I mean, you could, they used to do it where they would actually shoot you with the prongs, but because they don't know how to direct your fall, since you're going to just completely seize up and you're just going to go down wherever you're at, wherever your momentum's going to be. So hard to say where somebody was going to be directed, so they switched it to this different type of training method on it. Another slide, please. Any other questions? Oh, you got it already. Opportunities. Understand that there will always be a career in law enforcement. Okay? We can't have robots take the job over. We can't have improved, like fire training. I think eventually you'll have improved codes, improved fire alarms, improved systems to help suppress fires. That's hard to do in the criminal justice or law enforcement world. So, yes, ma'am.
I want to be a CSI. So what degree do you have to be a CSI?
We'll get into the education in a moment, but it would depend on whatever department you're going to work for. So a lot of them, like our department, requires a 2-year degree or the equivalent amount of credits to come in and work some of the investigation stuff first. You would start at the police officer level, and then at some point you could transition into investigations and work crime scenes. You can see all that stuff up there that's potentially available. The community service officers, we have those in our town. They are not police officers. They're civilians. They do not leave the building. It's kind of a misleading title. They work in our building, help people take fingerprints, and then they watch prisoners and that. But in other communities, a larger community like Cedar Rapids, Des Moines, you would hear of a community service officer, and that would be someone who just more like doing foot patrol. They go house to house or business to business and just meet with people, find out concerns within the neighborhood or within the business district, and see if they can be the representative for that area, and they would relay that back to patrol officers. So, the rest of the stuff, those are all the things that we would have available. The security stuff's always going to be available. You understand that as long as there are people who aren't making good decisions, there's going to be police jobs, right?
Have you ever had to work with like the FBI or the CSI?
Yep. Now, CSI is more of an internal thing. That's always lab people who help take fingerprints or do blood swabs and that. Most of us are trained in that stuff, and then our lab people help compare the fingerprints and that, and they're kind of our representative to the DCI and the FBI. If it's a big enough case, several years ago, we had a lot of bank robberies, and so the FBI helped them come take over all that stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of times where, depending on the nature of the case, then we'll work with DCI or the FBI. Another slide, please. Characteristics you have to have: somewhat social, talkative. Okay. Very honestly, when I was your age, through high school and even my first year of college, I would never, ever, ever be this person standing up here. Never. I would have told you, you'll never get me to stand up there. Somehow that changed, and I can't stop talking. But you have to respect other people. You may not like the decisions that people are making. You may not like the way people are treating you. But if you can kind of work through that, you'll be okay. I don't agree with a lot of the things that people are participating in, or that I may have to make a decision between what I believe in and what the law says. Sometimes that is a tough decision. Energetic. Why? Because the job is very boring sometimes. Night shift, think between 3 a.m. and 7 a.m. Does much happen then? No. And it doesn't throughout that night. Is there things to do? Yes, but you have to make them happen. Whether that's checking businesses, checking doors, looking for people that are out that maybe shouldn't be, or just kind of being proactive with stuff. If you don't have that desire, maybe that's going to be a tough assignment. Night shifts, everybody's going to have to work. I like working nights, so it doesn't bother me that much. It works good for my family. Make decisions that other people may not like or be happy with. Imagine arresting somebody or taking somebody to jail that is either a friend of yours, a parent of a friend, potentially a relative. Hopefully you can step aside from that situation, but if it's in a small town, you may not have that choice.
Have you ever had to do that?
Yeah, in Waverly, I worked with a lot of people. I grew up in a retail business. I worked in the hardware store when I was like 15 through 19. Then all of a sudden my role changes and I'm a cop in Waverly. A lot of people now think, oh, well, that's Mike, the True Value guy. He'll be good to work with. Well, now my role has changed and I have different responsibilities. So yeah, I've had to do that more than I wish. But my thing is people put me in that situation. Okay? It's, I guess, tough luck for them.
Do you have to be master case to be any kind of officer?
No, that's all departmentally decided. Then when you go to the law enforcement academy, yes. Most of them you do. You can work through that. You get through that. Yes, ma'am.
Like on like TV shows, they say like these code numbers. Like, what does all that mean?
Code numbers?
Yeah.
Not much anymore. It really doesn't mean a whole lot anymore. We have the 10 code. Okay, like 10-4, you know, is like okay or acknowledging something. It used to be that 10-1 through 1099 meant something. But can you imagine how confusing that is for dispatchers? Or it used to be that like 1051 is you need a wrecker service. 1052 is I need an ambulance. Well, people would flip those around. Okay, I need an ambulance here, and they called the wrecker number. So now it's just gone back to this plain language. Give me a tow here, or I need an ambulance here. We're very clear about it so people understand what it is that we want. So that's made more for drama now than it is anything else. So if we always tell new officers, if you don't know what number it is you're asking for, just say what you want. You know, if you need help here, just say it. If somebody's got a gun, say it on the radio. So, and everybody knows what they're responding to. Write a ticket or arrest somebody that you're friends with. Okay? You have that discretion. Now, if somebody's assaulted somebody and you don't have the discretion to say whether they're going to get a ticket or a warning, like maybe they're not wearing their seatbelt, that's even a tougher situation to be in. So think about some of those things. If you can separate yourself for doing your job and who you think your friends are, or who is all of a sudden going to remember that you used to be their friend. Okay? And I say that because you might have not talked to somebody for 5 years, and now that you're dealing with them in the criminal sense, they say, oh, hey, we used to hang out. Well, that was quite a while ago, and now you're going to jail, or you're getting this ticket for the decision you made. So think about that being a possibility. Training. Our department, I can only speak for, in this case, have to have secondary education. 2-year degree or the equivalent, 60 credit hours from a college, community college or university. Go to the academy, and that has to be done through the agency that hires you. Some people believe, now some other states are this way. I've saved up the money, I'm going to send myself through the police academy. You can't do that in Iowa. If you want to go to Michigan and do that, yes you can. But here, you get hired by an agency and you represent them at the academy. Then, you get a 4-year degree if you want to get promoted. Okay? That's our department standard. Not somebody else's, I don't know what they all require, but presumably understand if you have more of a college education, they're probably going to consider it as a bonus to you. Okay? With the 4-year degree, you can teach at the academy or a community college. Also with a master's degree, you can do that. Okay? They like to have people in the master's field because of that expertise. They can teach transferable courses to like UNI or Iowa then. If you get a PhD, then you could teach at a university. So all those fields, like if you want to be a CSI instructor, talk about crime scene investigation there, then you could go further and get a master's degree or PhD, depending on the location you want to be at. Then you always have to have education to keep certification, okay? Every year we have to do things that, domestic abuse training, firearms, Spanish. We have had, once a year we get Spanish training. A lot of different things on dealing with emotionally disturbed people, defensive tactics. So there's always something going on. There's tests related to all of it. Another slide, please. You can read through this. I'm not going to read verbatim to you. I know that you're all capable of it now. Talking about the foreign language. Not a requirement, but very helpful. I took a few courses on, that was actually titled Spanish for Cops, more about command Spanish, so you could have people do what you wanted them to do. Not really conversational, but I could get them to jail. Good with that? Any questions on that stuff? Carry on. Oh, keep going. Do you have to be the smartest? No. I'm here to tell you, that wasn't me. Okay? You probably figured that out already. Here's what we're looking at. And I told you about our department requiring post-secondary education. That does not have to be in police science, doesn't have to be in criminal justice, doesn't have to be in criminology. If you remember Officer Abernathy, his college degree is in photography. One of our lieutenants is journalism. Okay. One of our other lieutenants is public policy. It does not have to be in that field. What we're looking for is, were you committed to the school that you signed up for? And not necessarily did you have to transfer or whatever. When you signed up for them, have you committed to them? Are you attending? Are you doing well? And have you cared? Okay. Are the grades improving or are they declining? They tell us a little bit about what else you're interested in outside of school. One more. I think there's another one. Man, I don't remember what it was. I had something else going on in my brain. Some of the skills we look at, can you multitask? Okay. There could be an opportunity where I get called away from here today. That might, you know, what I plan on today may not be guaranteed to what I'm actually going to do. There's a lot of things that happened already this morning that I had no desire to be involved in, but now I'm in the middle of them. Knowledge of the codes and laws, those will be taught to you. If you want to go that far into it, you will learn all that. A lot of different hours and shifts. Okay? Don't always get the days off that you want. I work Monday through Friday now, but for many years, it's been 6 days on, 3 days off. Doesn't matter if you're working on a holiday or not. Okay, next. We'll roll through this quick. Somewhere in that 40,000 to 75,000 range. If you want to be the boss, over 100. Some agencies pay more for higher education. We'll probably get through this and then we'll be done. Why do you think that is?
Because they're smarter.
Not necessarily.
Because it shows that they have more commitment.
More commitment. And if you ever want to do a research project, I think this is a good one. There's a lot of research that shows people who have more education have less complaints and less complaints of misconduct on their files. Okay? I think it's because you know how to interact differently with people. You learn more about sociology and how people operate in groups and how you can deal with different types of behaviors and attitudes. So, being that's the case, that's why they're paying more. A couple thousand more, 5,000 more for a 4-year or a master's degree. And usually about 1,000 if you have a 2-year degree.
How much are you being paid then?
I would say now I'm 58 to 60, somewhere in that range. I don't really pay attention to it. My check goes to my wife. My wife probably knows better how much. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have to do paperwork?
Paperwork all the time. Okay? So if it seems like all we're going to do is race cars up and down, we're going to get in shootouts and be in chases with people, no. A lot of it's paperwork. 10% is probably what you think that we're doing. The other 90 is paperwork or meeting with people behind the scenes. So yeah, a lot of paperwork, report for everything. Everything you do basically has a report. Not as enjoyable, but
So English and writing is
Right.
important.
there's one spot here, I don't remember where it's at, but if people can't understand what you're saying or typing, how is the judge going to know? How is a jury going to know? How is anybody else going to have a clue what you did? You can't comprehend it in a report. That's why that's important. We are very critical of our reports on our department. We'll send officers their report back and tell them to redo it. Just like getting a red F on the paper, that's what we're doing in a nice way.
Do you
Redo
have
it.
to do your work, your reports in shorthand, or do you have to do regular?
Everything's typed out, so it's redundant. We have to retype the same information a lot of times because there's different forms that go for every type of incident. A lot of steps through most of it. Any other last minute questions? I think we got through what we can for today. Okay. Good. Very good. If you have more interest, and I think when you come through the high school, either I'll be there or another resource officer will be there. If you have interest in law enforcement, you want to learn a little bit more about potentially what colleges to look at or what type of college to look at, and the academy, the different academies in the state, then we can help you out with that too. Meet with somebody tomorrow on that same issue.
I know what college I want to go to.
Uh-huh.
I want to go to UNI. Would that be a good college?
Yep, they have a great criminology program. Yeah. Very good.
What's the biggest misconception about
Did everybody?
police officers, do you think? Besides maybe eating donuts?
Eating donuts.
Because
and
Officer
drinking
Larry does
coffee.
not eat donuts. We've tried.
Huh?
I said we've tried to tempt him with donuts. He doesn't
No.
do it. So what's the other
I won't
biggest?
eat any, especially never in uniform.
Yeah.
Probably what we were getting at with thinking that, hey, it's just running all the time and we're chasing people and writing tickets all the time. That's such a little percentage of what it actually is. A lot of it's just more of the meeting with individuals or trying to help settle small disputes between neighbors and families and trying to just somewhat be that peacekeeper. Not just taking people to jail.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.